It began not with a bang, not with the thunderous applause that usually closes a show, but with its opposite. It began with a breath held in unison. A collective gasp from an audience conditioned for spectacle, suddenly plunged into a void of pure anticipation. In the quiet of the venue, the air grew thick with unspoken expectations. Then, a single sharp question pierced the expectant hush, a digital whisper that felt like a shout. "No clothes runway?" The words hung in the air, an audacious challenge on fashion's most sacred ground. A deep, resonant drumbeat struck once, like a gavel. The verdict on this provocation was yet to be decided, but the trial had most certainly begun. This was the 5-second hook, a calculated disruption designed to stop the endless scroll and ensure that for this moment, no one could look away. It was a digital cliffhanger, demanding an answer. Flashes of disorienting light pulsed through the space, revealing not garments, but the barest hint of moving forms. Blurred, indistinct, and anonymous. The human shape, but not the human identity. Just as the sensory overload peaked, the shockwave yielded. The frantic energy receded, replaced by a slower, more deliberate tempo. The aggressive beat dissolved into a heavy atmospheric melody, a soundscape at once urgent, yet deeply contemplative. It was the sound of an idea taking root. On-screen, abstract images of a runway glided by in mesmerizing slow motion, transforming the familiar catwalk into a river of light and shadow. Shadows stretched and contracted, lights blurred into long, painterly streaks of color, divorcing form from function. We were left with only the almost imperceptible sway of human movement, the gentle rhythm of a body in motion, stripped of all its sartorial signifiers. This was a masterclass in suggestion, a deliberate act of withholding. It was a strategy designed to disarm, intrigue, and force the audience to lean in, to question what they were seeing, and above all, to wait. In an industry built on covering the human form, a world where identity is woven into every thread, this show dared to present it unadorned. For centuries, fashion has been our second skin, a language of status, aspiration, and concealment. But here, the narrative was stripped bare. We are taught to celebrate materials, the cool, liquid rustle of silk against the skin, the foundational weight of wool, the intricate dance of color and cut that shapes how the world perceives us. Fashion is a craft of addition, of layering meaning onto the body. This event inverted that entire paradigm. It proposed a radical act of subtraction. The runway was meticulously transformed into a gallery, a quiet, contemplative space. And within it, the models' bodies became the living canvas. There were no clothes to be sold, no seasonal collection to covet or critique. The familiar cycle of consumer desire was intentionally broken. Instead, the focal point was the human form itself, presented with the reverence usually reserved for sculpture. Here, design was not what was worn, but what was revealed. The deliberate, hypnotic choreography of the walk. It was a study in living architecture, the interplay of light and shadow defining muscle and bone, the elegant natural curve of a spine, the inherent strength of a shoulder, the quiet poetry in the gesture of a hand. Every movement was a brushstroke. This was a radical shift in value, elevating the body from a mere mannequin to a complex, breathtaking object of art. The goal was not scandal, but dialogue. It was an invitation to look and to see past the surface. Ultimately, it was a profound statement about freedom. Freedom from shame, from the commercial gaze, and from the relentless weight of external judgment. It asked a simple, powerful question. Without the armor of fashion, who are we? Presenting the unclad body is hardly new. It is woven into human history. From Greece, heroism, divinity, athletic perfection, to Renaissance flesh, humanity, and truth. Modern artists use nudity to challenge conventions, raising debates on voyeurism, beauty, and power. The subject and our gaze intertwined. Naturism promoted equality, well-being, and connection with nature. The body, neither sexual nor shameful, simply natural. Those principles transposed onto fashion created a jarring, thought-provoking contrast. A fusion of fashion and activism, a forum for social commentary, a direct challenge to exclusionary standards and to fashion's commercial imperative. It refused to sell a product, sold a question, an idea, a moment of reflection. Impact came not from nudity alone, but meticulous multi-sensory direction. Sound and sight wove an atmosphere, confrontational yet respectful. Dramatic pulses set a tone of gravity and importance. Footfalls and breathing, grounding, visceral, immediate. Authentic textures made the air feel charged. Deliberate camera craft guided our gaze. The camera moved with languid grace, lingering on abstracts. The body as landscape of textures and shapes, soft focus, backlight, shadow, seeing beyond the individual. Historical context framed the show with an ongoing discourse. Safety, consent, respect, models as collaborators with agency. An intentional, humanistic approach, provocation with care. As images proliferated online, a polarized debate ignited. Art, or an audacious publicity stunt? Often, the answer lives in a spectrum of intent and interpretation. Shock can capture attention, then deliver meaning. The line between art and stunt is drawn by perceived motivation. Proponents cite bodily freedom and critique of consumer culture. Critics called it a cynical, calculated stunt for virality. They argued nudity guaranteed clicks, overshadowing any real message. Controversy became the commodity, its power, a cultural Rorschach, revealing anxieties about bodies. If it prompts self-reflection, it meets art's purpose. Debate aside, dialogue expanded. Once the collection went online, it didn't just travel, it exploded across the digital landscape. In a matter of hours, it crossed countless cultures and geographies, colliding with a vast spectrum of beliefs, traditions, and laws. The internet, a space with no borders, became the ultimate test for an idea born in a specific context. What this global journey immediately exposed was a simple yet profound truth. The meaning of nudity is not universal. It is a language with 1,000 different dialects. In some traditions, rooted in classical art and humanist thought, the nude is not only accepted but celebrated as the purest form of beauty and vulnerability. Here, it was discussed with intellectual rigor, analyzed for its artistic merit, its commentary on the fashion industry, and its challenge to convention. But elsewhere, the very same images were seen as a profound transgression. In cultures where public nudity is a deeply held taboo, the work was met with outrage, triggering swift social and legal consequences. Censorship, moral panic, and a fierce culture clash entered the frame, turning a fashion statement into a global controversy. Because online, context doesn't just slip away, it shatters. The carefully constructed images were captured, re-edited, and weaponized, spreading far beyond the creator's original narrative and intent. What was a thoughtful critique in one place became evidence of moral decay in another. The original message twisted and mutated as it passed through countless cultural lenses. Art became a meme. A statement became a scandal. The internet had created a live real-time map of our planet's deeply contradictory views on the human body. Ultimately, the show became a mirror, not just for the audience in the room, but for the entire world, reflecting back our own complex, often conflicted relationship with the skin we live in. As the final model completed their walk, there was no grand crescendo. Instead, a meditative close. The music softened and slowed. Lights dimmed, casting soft shadows across an empty stage. They stood together, shared humanity. Questions, not answers, were offered. What does freedom truly mean? What role does respect play in how we view others? The spectacle ended. The question remained. A catalyst to think critically, to speak openly. Reconsider the body, identity, expression, and human rights. Fashion asks who we are. What do you think? A powerful statement or a provocative stunt? Join the conversation, explore related videos on global trends and travel,